gave that to him. Ask him about this stuff. Why you not asking him about this? And he refused to ask him about this. I don't know why. I literally gave it to him and give him the paper where they said it at. And he write it on. I got it right here. When he write it and say I'm gonna ask right after my question, he don't ask. I don't know why.
All right, look, Mr. Smith. Would I be correct in assuming that you are going to testify or want to testify in this case?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I've discussed that issue with your attorney and with the prosecutor, Mr. Moran. Now, I want you to understand that under the law, Mr. McWilliams, your lawyer, is charged with coming up with what is going to be the defense strategy, your strategy for the trial. He has a strategy that he believes is in your best interest, that he is going forward with. Now, I understand that there are going to be questions that when you get on the witness stand, you're going to want to make sure that your attorney asks. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. So, here's what I want you to do. During the course of today, you write down and number all the questions that you are going to want your lawyer, Mr. McWilliams, to ask. Okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to make 3 copies. Mr. McWilliams will have a copy, the prosecutor will have a copy, I will have a copy. Mr. McWilliams will make the preliminary decision as to whether or not he thinks a particular question may be so harmful to your defense strategy that it shouldn't be asked. But if he has feelings that, 80–90% of them are questions that could be asked or that you want to answer and he thinks are appropriate, we'll then find out if there's a legal objection. Sometimes, as you know, there are questions that are asked that can't be answered or shouldn't be answered because somebody may be guessing or speculating. So I'll entertain an objection. If there isn't a legal objection, then what we'll do is we will make sure that when you testify, all of the legally admissible questions that you are interested in being asked of you and that don't go contrary to what Mr. McWilliams believes is your trial strategy, those will be asked.
But do you feel like that was a proper? Don't you think the jury should know that some guy said he took me on the east side and the other one saying pure? You don't think that was like a proper? What lawyer wouldn't put that out there to the jury?
Well, Mr. Smith, let me say this. I can't be your advocate any more than I can be the prosecutor's advocate. But I do know it's very clear to me that Mr. McWilliams has been bringing out inconsistencies between what Mr. Williams may have said and what Mr. Adams may have said. And in terms of inconsistencies or things that he thinks are appropriate, that's all part of what he wants to argue to the jury in terms of maybe there's another reason why he didn't want to ask that particular question, because sometimes questions that are asked open the door to the prosecutor to bring in all kinds of other stuff that would be more harmful than just that one answer. That's not up to me. I don't have all that, the discovery that you do. So I can't give you an answer. It would be inappropriate for me as the judge to give that answer. All right? So that's how we'll proceed. All right? Okay. Are you ready for the jury?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right for the jury.
Thank you.
You may be seated.
All right, good morning, folks.
Good morning.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Vern, before we get started, let me just indicate to Mr. Poulin, I received your note. I've shared it with the prosecutor and defense counsel, but let me just assure you, you'll be fine.
Okay.
You got nothing to worry about.
Thank
All
you.
right?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I want you to relax. I need your full concentration, but I want you to know that you'll be fine.
Okay.
All right? Okay, you bet. All right. Mr. Moran, do you have another witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
At this time, the people would call Mr. John McCoy.
Good morning, sir. Would you come forward and give your full name to my court reporter?
Yes.
Hold on a second, Mr. McCoy. All right. Would you raise your right hand for me, if you would, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So help me God.
Okay. Mr. McCoy, have a seat if you would. Adjust the microphone in front of you once you're comfortable, all right? Put the mic a little closer to you if you would. There we go. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Good morning. Mr. McCoy? Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you tell me your name?
John McCoy, Jr.
And Mr. McCoy, I want to take you back to January the 23rd, 2015, around 7:30 p.m. Do you recall that date and approximate time?
7:30.
Around 7:30. What time do you recall on January the 23rd, 2015, being at a Family Dollar?
Yes.
Do you recall what time that was?
Around 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock p.m.?
Yeah.
Is that located at 18201 Schoolcraft in the city of Detroit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
May I approach, Judge? May I approach? Thank you. Mr. McCoy, I'm handing you two exhibits. People's Proposed Exhibit number 426 and People's Proposed Exhibit number 457. I'm going to ask you to take those items. That first one that you see in your hand, what is that?
These are the streets where the Family Dollar located.
Is that a map of the Family Dollar?
Yeah.
And is that where you know that the Family Dollar is located?
Yeah.
At this time, I'd move for admission of People's Exhibit number 426.
Without objection.
Thank
Will
you.
be received. 426?
Yes, thank you. Now, Mr. McCoy, is that the map that you have there behind you? Can you take a look at the screen behind you? That's what you have in your hand, right?
Right.
And that purple star that you see, is that where the Family Dollar is located?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to look. You have in your hand there People's Proposed Exhibit number, I believe, 221. Is that what you have there?
221.
Here, let
It
me
might
take
be on the back,
Let me
Mr.
see.
McCoy.
457. I apologize. I can take this one from you.
Okay.
And looking at People's Proposed Exhibit number 457, do you recognize what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, what is that?
It's the Family Dollar store.
And is that the way you remember the Family Dollar looking back in January of 2015?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, I'd move for admission of People's Proposed Exhibit number 457.
Without objection.
Will be received.
Now, Mr. McCoy, back there on the screen behind you, is that what you're looking at in your hand?
Yes.
Okay, and that's the Family Dollar that you were at back in January?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, back on January 23rd, 2015, around, you said, about 9 o'clock p.m., did something unusual happen while you were at that Family Dollar?
Yeah.
What happened?
Two guys walked in the Family Dollar, and one announced a robbery. One was cowering over by the door.
Where were you standing at that time?
I was standing at the cash register.
Were you checking out?
I was checking out.
You had some items that you had purchased or were purchasing?
I had some items that I have purchased.
Now, there was somebody, you said one individual cowered by the doorway, is that correct?
The little guy.
You said the little guy?
Yeah.
Try to keep your voice up a little bit. If
The
you
little
can.
guy.
Okay. Now, where was the first guy?
He
other
was
guy.
over at that cash register.
Near where you were?
Yeah.
Now, what's the first thing you hear that person say or do?
He said it's a robbery.
And what is he doing at that time? Anything?
Yeah, he just went over there and checked the cashier through the register up on the counter, and he went over there. He examined that, and it wasn't that much in it. He turned to me and pointed the gun to me, and he said, you know, give me your money. And I just started praying, and he dropped the gun and shot on the floor, and then he ran out the store. He didn't get. I think they was more scared than we were.
Okay, so
I wasn't scared at all. I don't care.
You were not scared at all?
No. Well, what? I wasn't scared.
Okay.
I just felt sorry for them.
Let me stop you. Let's go back a little bit. When you said that the person that was near the cash register had a gun, correct?
Yeah, he had a gun.
When's the first time that you saw that gun?
When he pointed it in my face.
And
Well, I seen it before that. I seen it when he raised it up in the air and he said, "This is a robbery." And the cashier, he threw the cash register up on the counter. And when he looked at it, it wasn't nothing there, Holly. It was a little bit of change, maybe a few dollars. And then the guy turned and put the gun in my face. And then I just started praying, and he dropped the gun, shot on the floor, and he left out the store.
now, did that person with the gun point the gun at anyone other than you?
No.
Now, were any...
I don't even believe he pointed it at the cashier, because the cashier had already threw the gun up there. It was almost comical.
Okay. Now, just before you see the individual fire a shot into the ground, was anything else said to you or any requests made of you?
Not other than, give me what you got, your money or something like that. I know he asked for something what I had, and I'm like, hey, you ain't got nothing coming as far as that, and I just started praying.
So did you give the person any items?
No, I didn't give him anything. Like I said, I started praying, he dropped the gun, he shot on the floor, and he ran out the store.
So did he shoot the gun before or after he requested your items and you said no?
He shot the gun after, because I started praying and he just dropped the gun there. I don't even think he tried to shoot the gun. I think it went off by accident.
How come you started praying, Mr. McCoy?
Because that's what I do. I will give it to the Father. I start speaking in my spiritual tongue, and I guess, I don't know. I know I get my help from above, so I prayed in my spiritual language.
And you felt like at that point that you needed some help, right?
That was my help.
Can you describe what the person by the door that you said was cowering, can you describe what that person was wearing at all?
No, he was a little guy, and he ran out. He was cowering the whole time because he was trying to get a little mask on. I could observe it, and he didn't ever get it all the way on, and he bolted out the store first.
So when you see that second guy, you said he's trying to put a mask on his face?
Yeah.
So did he enter the store, if you know, with his face uncovered?
Well, he was like this. He had the little mask or whatever on, trying to pull it on, and then he went over by the window and he was still trying to get it on. And while he was doing that, that's when the guy said it's a robbery. He come in the store. I thought it was a joke because he had the gun up like this.
Okay, so
in
let
the
me
air.
stop you. You said the first guy, just for the record, had his head and neck kind of crunched down,
You right.
like you just did, and you had your hands kind of near your neck area, kind of gesturing like you're pulling something up to your face area.
That's how the guy, the little short guy that was over in the corner, that's how he was doing. He was still up by the door.
And now the other guy, you said, when he entered the store, you made a gesture just a moment ago where you took your right arm, you extended it straight up in the air, and you pointed your finger kind of with your pointer finger and your thumb both extended, like in an L shape, right?
Yeah, well, that's what he did.
Towards the ceiling?
Right.
And he had the gun in his hand at that time?
Yeah, he had a gun.
Okay. How many shots did you hear?
One.
And what was the person that had that gun, what was that person wearing, if you recall?
I don't even remember now. It's been so long ago. I don't.
Do you remember if that person had a mask on?
No, he didn't have a mask on. He never put one on.
Now, both of these individuals were males, correct?
Yeah.
Could you tell the race of those individuals?
Yeah.
What was the race of those individuals?
He was African American.
Both?
Yeah.
Could you tell the
Well, as
skin?
I could tell.
Could you tell the skin complexion of either of those individuals?
It's been a long time. I can't remember.
Okay.
I beg your pardon, Your Honor. Sure.
Judge, at this time I'd move for admission of People's proposed exhibit, or proposed exhibits number 379 and 390. I spoke to Mr. McWilliams. He has seen both of these, and he indicated that he is not objecting to their admission.
That's true, Your Honor.
Right, they'll be admitted, 379 and 390.
Thank you. Now, Mr. McCoy, I'm approaching you with what's just been admitted as People's Exhibit number 379 and 390. I want you to start with 379, okay? Is that a photograph that you have in your hand?
Yes.
And what does that photograph show?
The door at Family Dollar.
Okay? And is that the entrance area that I have behind you on the screen, exhibit number 379?
Yeah.
Is that the area where you saw that second individual cowering near?
Yeah, the window, like, where the metal at, it was up. He was cowering over in that area. Yeah.
Over by where?
Where you see the metal doors, screens down over the windows, he was right over in that area, cowering.
Do you see a broom in the
over in that area.
right side, lower right-hand side of the photo?
Right.
Is that the area where you saw that person?
Right.
Okay, now I want you to take a look at People's Exhibit number 390. That's the second photo that you have there. And I'm putting that up on the screen as well. Is that the register area where you were standing?
Yeah.
Is that the area where the first guy with the gun came over by where you were?
Yeah.
Is that the register that the gentleman behind the register would have been standing?
Right.
Okay.
Correct, yeah. Yes.
And is 18201 Schoolcraft in the city of Detroit? Mr. McCoy?
Pardon me?
Is that Family Dollar in Detroit?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Judge, may I just have 1 second?
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. McCoy, were any items actually ever taken from you?
No.
Now, after the incident occurs, do you do anything or go anywhere?
No, I just stayed there like everybody else. They locked the store.
And do the police come?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you tell the police what you told us today?
Yeah.
Mr. McCoy, did you get any, a look at the first guy any better?
No, I don't even remember because it's been such a long time.
Okay. You can't remember what clothing he was wearing either?
I can't remember what clothing. I don't know. He was taller than the other guy.
Okay.
And
Thank you. Nothing else.
Mr. McCoy?
Yes, Your Honor. And good morning, Mr. McCoy. Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Very good. This all happened back in January 2015. It's been quite a few months ago, actually, over a year, correct?
January 2015.
Is that correct?
Last year.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you hear me okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I wondered if you, at this particular time, you remember enough to describe the person that you saw that was the closest to you on that day.
He was a little tall and he had an afro. That's all I remember.
Okay. How tall are you, sir, if you can tell us?
I'm 5'9".
Okay. Would that person be taller than you?
Yeah, he was a little taller than me.
Okay. And would he have been over 5'9"?
Yeah.
He was taller than 5'9"?
He about 5'10".
Okay. Certainly not 6 foot. Isn't that correct?
I wouldn't have thought he was 6 feet. I thought he was about 5'10".
Okay.
You
see this gentleman seated right here with the blue shirt on, black necktie?
Mm.
Do you identify him as the person who you saw that day?
I can't see it was him.
I beg your pardon, sir?
I can't see it was him.
Okay, you cannot see him with it's him.
I say I can't see it was him.
Right, you cannot positively identify him.
I couldn't positively identify him.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Felon, anything else?
Nothing else.
Anything from the jury? Mr. McCoy, thank you so much. You may be excused, sir.
Oh, thank you, John.
At this time, the people would call Police Officer Sammy Wright.
First and last name, please. Sammy, that's it. W-R-I-G. Thank you, sir.
Sir, would you raise your right hand for me? Please do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self you got.
I do.
Please have a seat. Adjust the microphone in front of you if you would, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you tell us your name?
Sammy, right?
And how are you employed?
Detroit Police Department.
How long have you been with the Detroit Police Department?
A little over 19 years.
Where is your current assignment?
6th Precinct.
And where were you assigned back in January, on January the 23rd of 2015?
At the 6th Precinct.
At the 6th Precinct?
Yes.
Okay. Were you working at that time alone, or did you have a partner?
I have a partner.
And what's your partner's name?
Officer Tatum.
Now, I'm going to take you back to January the 23rd of 2015, around 9-ish p.m. Do you recall that date and time?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you receive a call to 18201 Schoolcraft in the city of Detroit?
I did.
And what was the nature, or what was the reason for you getting a call?
It was a RA business in progress.
Now, what's RA business in progress mean?
Robbery armed.
In progress, what does that suggest to you?
That is going on at that particular time.
Either going on or just happened recently, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so do you go to that location?
Yes, we did.
And how did you get there?
We drove a scout car.
Were you the driver or a passenger in that scout car?
I was the driver.
And when you arrive at that location, what, if anything, do you see?
When we got to the location, There's some citizens inside the location, also the employees inside the location.
And do you speak with any of those individuals?
Yes, we did. We spoke with the cashier.
Did you speak with anyone else other than the cashier?
Yes, it was a citizen that was in the store.
Do you recall that person's name?
I believe it's John.
John?
Yes.
Okay. And how does the person seem to you at the time?
He was a little shook up, rattled, because the robbery had just taken place at the store.
And do you find out some information from that person you know as John?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and what does he tell you?
He stated that 2 individuals came into the store. One was armed with a handgun. One told the cashier to give him the money, and John stated that, he tried to talk to the individual, saying he was a minister or something. But the guy told him to shut up, put his stuff down, and he fired 1 shot.
The person with the gun fired the 1 shot?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, did you have an opportunity to kind of look around the store and evaluate what you saw?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you make any observations, or did you see anything noteworthy within the store itself?
We did see where a projectile had hit the floor. There were some shell casings, and also it was a piece of the fired round from the bullet on the floor.
I'm sorry. Did you collect those shell casings?
No, ma'am.
How come?
We called the evidence techs out to preserve the chain of evidence.
Is that your proper protocol?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you trained in collecting evidence?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so did you leave that to the people that were trained in collecting evidence?
I did.
Did you secure the scene or do anything at that point?
Yes, it did. Secured the scene.
Did you ever receive a description of the individuals from John?
From John?
That you spoke to?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did he tell you? What was his description?
Your Honor, at this time, I'm going to, for the record, state an objection. I know that we may have an excited utterance here, but I think we'd better lay a little bit better foundation.
Judge, I believe it's not only an excited utterance, but it also goes to state of mind. I believe if I can ask some follow-up questions of this officer, that he may have done stuff with the information that he received from Mr. McCoy.
Well, if you want to ask what did he do with the information that was given by Mr. McCoy, I'll allow that. I don't think we've set an excited utterance foundation at this juncture. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Did you do anything, what if anything did you do with information that you received from Mr. McCoy?
The information we received, we put it in the report.
Now, I know that you spoke earlier about observing Mr. McCoy, or John, as you know this individual, and you had said that he seemed shooken up. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe what you mean by that, or what you observed?
Well, he was doing a lot of talking, and he was acting as if he was nervous.
And anything specifically about his demeanor, or the way he was talking to you, or anything like that?
He was just upset, and like I say, he said he was a minister or a preacher, and he tries to talk to young guys all the time.
Young guys all the time?
Yes.
Okay. And approximately, if you know, how long after the robbery incident were you speaking with Mr. McCoy?
Once we entered the location, I believe we spoke with the clerk first. Then we spoke with Mr. McCoy.
So would it have been a matter of hours, a matter of minutes, or approximately how long after the robbery were you there?
Probably a matter of minutes.
Minutes. Now, Judge, at this time I would ask the court to allow the testimony of the description that Mr. McCoy gave. Officer Wright has testified that...
All right. Let me hear the response, please.
Thank you.
Likewise, Your Honor, I don't believe that it has, in fact, qualified.
I believe it could also come in under present sense impression as well.
Well, I think it would come in as an excited utterance. I think that foundation has been laid now. I'll take the answer.
Thank you. You said you received a description from Mr. McCoy, or John, at that time. Is that correct?
Correct.
Can you tell me what the description of the individual or individuals were?
The individual with the gun he was wearing all black with a half mask over his face, with a small handgun, small dark black handgun. The other individual, I believe, was wearing he said was wearing tan pants and a Michigan State hoodie, or Wolverine hoodie, not state.
So U of M?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Just give me the numbers
Okay.
and show them to us.
Okay. We have 380, 382,
Okay.
384,
Okay.
385, 386, 387, 388,
Okay.
and 389.
Thank you. Go ahead, Charles.
Judge, at this time I would move for admission of people's proposed exhibit numbers 380, 382, 384, 385, 386, 387, 388, 389.
Your Honor, I'm assuming that these items will be shown to this witness and that he will recognize what they are, and so I will be stipulating to their admission.
All right.
And 378.
All right.
May I approach?
There's no objection to 378, Mr. McCoy?
No.
378 and 380 and 389 will be received.
Okay, thank you. Now, Officer Wright, I'm handing you a stack of several photographs. Can you look through those items for me and tell me if you recognize what you see there?
Yes, ma'am. This is photos of the crime scene.
And those are how the crime scene or the Family Dollar looked on that day back in January, the
Yeah.
23rd?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to pull up just a few of those, not all of them that you have in your hands there. I'm going to start with People's Exhibit number 384. And that's behind you. Do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
And what are those little papers that have like 1, 2, etc. on it?
Those are the crime scene identifiers.
And what are the purpose of those?
They number the evidence. As they find it, they number the evidence.
So any evidence that's found, they put one of those little papers near with a number on it to show there's evidence there.
Yes, ma'am.
Now I'm going to show you 386. What is that?
That is a spent round. It's a fired round. The brass from the spent round.
And do you have any idea where that's located in that store? Are you able to tell from there?
I believe that's right by the counter.
The counter or register area?
Register, yes, ma'am.
Now I'm going to pull up 387 quickly. Is that the second piece of evidence that was found?
Yes, it is.
And what is that?
That is the shell casing.
Is that from a fired bullet?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And there with number 3, which is People's 388, what's that?
That is a complete bullet, the whole round.
So how does that come about? Does that come out of a gun itself when you fire it, when you pull the trigger, or where does that come from?
Your Honor, I think this witness needs to be qualified if he can do that.
Response?
Judge, I'm not asking him to give any specific. I can rephrase about the opinion that I'm asking for.
Please do.
Thank you. You said that that's a full bullet.
Yes, ma'am.
Do full bullets come out of a gun if you pull the trigger?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Can a full bullet come out of a gun in another type of a way?
Yes, ma'am.
What other types of ways?
If there's a misfire and the gun is racked, the round be ejected from the gun.
Okay. And what's a misfire?
If you pull the trigger and it doesn't go off,
Now, if you pull the trigger and the gun goes off, what would you have left if it's not a revolver?
you have a shell casing.
Okay. Now I'm going to pull up 389. And what does that show?
That's right at the entrance of the Family Dollar.
And do you see those little orange little teepees, if you will?
Yes, ma'am.
And are those what we kind of showed zoomed versions of, where the evidence was?
Yes, they are.
And to the right in that photograph, is that the register area? If you can tell?
Yes, it is.
I have no other questions.
May I, Your Honor?
Please.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You Detroit police officer?
Yes, I am.
Very good. I want to ask you just a couple questions. You secured the scene, did you not?
Yes, sir.
All right. And once you've secured the scenes, you try and keep people out of the area so that nothing gets disturbed. Isn't that true?
That's correct.
And once you've done that, are there other duties that are oftentimes required or requested of you?
Yes, sir.
And would that include canvassing an area looking for either witnesses or, in fact, suspects?
Correct.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you, did you canvass the area looking for either other witnesses or as a suspect?
I did not canvass the outside area.
You
No.
did not personally do that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Do I sense that you were just standing by outside keeping the preservation of the scene?
I was standing by inside.
Inside, okay. Did you at all find anything or any person there at or connected by the name of Kevin Smith?
No, I didn't.
Thank you very much, sir.
I have nothing else.
Any questions by the jurors? Officer, thanks very much. You may be excused.
Thank you.
Next witness.
Thank you.
We're going to see the side. Yes. Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'll be calling an officer, Estera Chokla, please.
I'm sorry, the name, please?
Estera Chokla.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Would you give your full name to my court reporter, please?
E-S-T-B-R-A-C-H-O-C-H-L-A.
Would you raise your right hand for me, if you would, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat. Adjust the microphone in front of you, if you would, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, I'm Officer Chokla with the Roseville Police Department.
And how long have you been working with the Roseville Police Department?
A little bit over 2 years.
And can you just briefly describe to the jury your duties and responsibilities as an officer for Roseville?
I'm a patrol officer, so I respond to your average day calls, traffic stops, any complaints that we get on call for domestics or robberies and whatnot. I'm also an evidence tech, in which I am called out onto numerous scenes to process scenes for any evidence left behind, fingerprints, DNA.
Great. Now, were you operating or working in such a role on May 20th, 2015?
I was.
Now, where were you that morning?
That morning I was called out onto a call to Rainbow Jewelry.
And that's at 27453 on Gratiot Avenue, is that right?
Correct.
And just to be clear, that's in Roseville, not Detroit. That's outside Detroit, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, so you went to that address?
Yes, I did.
Now, can you describe what you saw when you got there?
When I arrived on scene, I saw two Middle Eastern males upset. One had blood on his face. There was shattered glass within the jewelry counters and blood around the entire premises.
And could you you said that they were upset. What led you to that conclusion that they were upset?
They just seemed very distraught. One of the males, he had a trauma on his head and cut and blood all over. So at the time that I arrived, he was being tended to by EMS.
Now, when you were there at that scene at Rainbow Jewelers, did you receive anything?
I was turned over a layaway slip.
What is a layaway slip? Excuse me.
To my understanding, a layaway slip would be a slip that you would put a down payment or money for an item that you wanted to purchase at a later date.
And for what purpose were you given this layaway slip?
I was told that one of the suspects filled out the layaway slip.
Now, once you got that item, that layaway slip, what did you do with it?
At that time, I took it to the Roseville Police Department to our evidence tech lab, in which I dusted the layaway slip with black powder in an attempt to obtain some prints on it.
And is that a common procedure that you and other officers would engage in order to see if they can get fingerprints or latent prints?
Yes.
And can you describe to the jury what a latent print is exactly?
A latent print are prints or rigid detailing left behind on a surface by your skin's natural oils or perspiration.
And so what did you do after, or where did you put the layaway slip after doing that procedure?
After dusting the layaway slip, I secured it in a manila envelope, closed it up with tape that says evidence, and signed it off in several different areas as to mark that it was not opened or tampered with.
Now, is it true that you've reviewed the police report for this case? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And every police report, does it have a unique number for an incident that happens in Roseville Police?
Yes.
And the unique number for this case, is it 15-10895?
Yes.
And who is the OIC on the case?
That'd be...
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. It's the officer in charge.
That'd be Detective Kurt Latour.
Great. Thank you, and thank you. Now, I'm approaching with what has been pre-marked as exhibit number 214. Actually, it's already been made. Actually, can we just display it on the screen if we may? Is that the jewelry store that you went to and collected that layaway slip on that day?
Yes, it is.
And saw those two individuals, one of whom you described as bleeding?
Yes.
Now, I am approaching with what has been pre-marked as exhibit number 551, People's Proposed Exhibit number 551.
Thank you.
Can you please take a look at this? And after you've had a chance to review it, please look back up at me. What is that I've just placed into your hands?
That looks like the smaller portion of the layaway slip, the bottom portion of it.
Now, is that an image of the layaway slip that you handed in to get testing on fingerprints?
Yes.
I move to admit this is the next exhibit, exhibit number 551, Your Honor. Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
It'll be received. And is that is that the image that we just handed to you that's displayed on the screen?
Yes, it is.
And now, there's been, and did you take photographs of what you saw there that day?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
I'm approaching with what has been pre-marked as People's Proposed Exhibit number 553. Can you please take a look at that, and after you've had a chance to look at it, can you please look back up at me? What is that I just handed to you?
Those are photographs that I took upon arriving on scene.
And those are fair and accurate depictions of the scene as it looked like on that day?
Yes, sir.
I move to admit this as the next exhibit, exhibit number 553, Your Honor.
Without objection.
Those are scene photos?
Those are scene photographs of the jewelry store on that day.
All right.
And
Will be received.
and we will not be displaying them at this time, but is it fair to say that it appears that there was a couple of layaway slips that you saw that day?
Yes, sir.
And that you collected one and brought it to the location where it was tested for fingerprints?
Yes.
May I have one moment to review my notes?
Of course.
Thank you. I have nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. McWilliams.
I do. Thank you. Good morning, officer.
Good morning.
You come to us from Roseville, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you went to the site and scene of incident that happened at a jewelry store within your jurisdiction, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I understand that's over on Gratiot,
Yes.
city of Roseville. And I also understand that besides being a patrol officer, you're also a qualified evidence tech, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And when did you receive that training, and how long have you been such?
The completion of the certification was March 20th, 2015.
Okay. And you did go to the scene and you did collect some items, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you analyze any items?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, for example, you are qualified to dust for prints, are you not?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you do any comparison or submit any prints into what's been known as the APHIS system? If you would please describe what that is.
No, sir, I do not. The APHIS is where they do a comparison of the fingerprints that are collected and then put into a database. However, as an evidence tech, we don't do any analyzations.
Okay.
Comparisons.
Well, you collected a layaway slip, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What else did you collect?
Fingerprints or latent prints and blood swabs.
Okay. The blood swabs came from what?
One came from the interior of a jewelry store glass that was shattered, and another came off of a cushion that jewelry was on.
Okay. And of course you also dusted for prints, correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you use the super glue method of taking prints?
I do not, sir.
Okay. Did you lift that print?
Which one?
Well, we're only talking about one print off of a layaway item slip, aren't we?
Yes. No, I did not.
Okay. What, if anything, did you then do with both the blood swab and the fingerprint that you detected by dusting the layaway slip in question?
The layaway slip was dusted. It was then secured in a manila envelope, which was taped up with an evidence tape that secures it, and then it gets secured in our evidence tech lab that at a later date gets brought over to the MSP lab for processing.
And what is MSP?
Michigan State Police.
And where is that located in relationship to your department or city?
I believe it's in Sterling Heights, sir.
Okay. And do you know personally that that's what in fact was done?
Based on reports from the incident, yes.
Okay. But you had nothing to do with that? You're not that into the scientific analysis, is that correct?
No, sir.
Some other person would do the scientific work and make a report, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. With regard to the report themselves, you cannot testify as to what those reports either mean or the significance of them, can you?
No, sir.
No further questions.
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything by the jury? Officer, thank you so much. You may be excused.
Thank you.
Watch your steps.
May I see if our next witness will be?
Please.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Can't hear you. Did you say?
Would you come forward and give your full name to my court reporter, please? Would you raise your right hand for me, if you would, please? You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please have a seat. Just the microphone in front of you, if you would, please.
May I, Your Honor?
Please.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
I'm Danielle Keith, forensic scientist at the Michigan State Police Crime Lab.
And how long have you been working there for?
I've been working there for almost 3 years.
And can you describe, just briefly, your duties and responsibilities in that role?
I work in the latent print unit, so I compare unknown latent prints to known fingerprints to come up with identifications, as well as process evidence for latent prints, and I process crime scenes for latent prints.
Now, where did you work before you worked at, what did you say, Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab?
Michigan State Police.
I'm sorry, Michigan, yeah. Michigan. How long have you been working there for?
So previous to that, I worked at the Pasadena Police Department.
And how long were you working there for?
Almost 7 years.
And what did you do, just briefly, your duties and responsibilities in that role?
I was a forensic specialist and latent print examiner, so my duties were the same as my current position.
And that's examining fingerprints, seeing if they match or don't match, and so on?
Correct.
Now, can you describe just your formal education briefly to the jury?
I have a Bachelor of Science in Biology from the University of Michigan and a Master of Science in Forensic Science from the University of Florida.
And have you been trained at all in the comparison of fingerprints?
Yes.
Where were you trained, and can you describe that training to the jury?
So at the Pasadena Police Department, I completed their in-house latent print comparison training, which consisted of completing over 100,000 latent print comparisons under the direct supervision of a qualified latent print examiner. And at the Michigan State Police, I completed their internal training program as well, where I completed 300 latent print identifications as well as 100 cases from start to finish under the supervision of a qualified latent print examiner. I've also taken several external training courses sponsored by the International Association for Identification. This includes a 40-hour latent print examination course, a 40-hour complex latent print comparison course, 2 40-hour forensic radiology courses, a 32-hour advanced processing with chemical and light course, a 24-hour advanced palm print comparison course, and several others.
And your training is ongoing, is that fair to say?
Correct.
Now, have you ever testified as an expert on latent print comparison before?
Yes.
About how many times and where have you testified?
16 times total, 12 times in Los Angeles Superior Court, and 4 times in the state of Michigan in various district and circuit courts.
I'd pass her at this time as for qualifications to the defense.
Do you wish to voir dire?
I do not, Your Honor. I acknowledge this young lady as an expert in the area which is described for Michigan State Police.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I told you, I believe, with an earlier witness, most witnesses are allowed to tell you what they did or what they saw or what they heard. Some witnesses, such as Ms. Keith, as an expert witness, are allowed to give you their opinion in matters in which they are experts. She will be allowed to give you her opinion in the area of fingerprint comparison, and that, as with any witness, you will determine what weight you will give to this witness and any other witness who testifies in this trial. Go ahead, please, Mr. Cagle.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I may, can you describe to the jury what is identification or individualization of fingerprints?
So when we get a latent print or an unknown print from a crime scene or evidence, we compare that to known fingerprint or palm print impressions. And when we get an individualization or an identification, it's determined that they were made by the same person or the same source.
And how long have fingerprints been used as a means of individualization or identification?
They've been used in the U.S. court system for over 100 years for identification.
And can you just describe briefly to the jury what is a fingerprint exactly?
So a fingerprint is a known impression that is inked or scanned in most often nowadays, and it's from a known person, so you know who the fingerprint or the palm print belongs to, and it captures all of those raised lines on the surface of your finger or your palm.
So that's a known print. Can you tell the jury a little bit about what a latent print is?
So a latent print is when you touch a surface, a copy of all of those lines or ridges on your fingers or palms, it's left on the surface. And it's not readily visible. That's why it's called latent. So it needs to be developed either with powders, chemicals, or lighting so that it can be seen and used to compare.
Now, what factors are used when you're trying to compare known prints to latent prints?
So when we do a comparison, we use 3 levels of detail to do a comparison. Level 1 detail is the overall flow of the ridges, the orientation of the print, the pattern of the print. The level 2 detail is the individual ridge paths. So those raised lines on your palms and fingers, they're all different lengths. They end at certain points. Some of them split into 2. And so it's the relationship between those that we're using, how long the ridges might be, how wide the openings might be. And then lastly, we use level 3 detail, which is a closer inspection of the ridges, the ridge shape, the ridge thickness, and the pore structure on those ridges.
Now, are you familiar with ACE-V?
Yes.
What is ACE-V?
ACE-V is the methodology we use for our comparison. It stands for analysis, comparison, evaluation, and verification. The analysis phase, you analyze the latent print and determine its overall suitability for comparison and determine what ridge characteristics are visible in there and the quality and quantity of those ridge characteristics. After the analysis, you move on to the comparison if that latent print is deemed suitable for comparison. At that point, you do a side-by-side comparison of the latent print to the known impression, looking for all of those characteristics that you found during your analysis phase. And you're looking for similarities between the two or discrepancies between the two. During the evaluation phase, that's when you determine your conclusion, which can be an identification, as I described earlier, which means they were made by the same person, an exclusion, which means they were not made by the same person, or inconclusive, which means there isn't enough information to determine whether it was or was not made by the same person. And the last step is the V, which stands for verification, and all of the processes that I just described to you are repeated by a second latent print examiner to verify my conclusions.
Now, that process that you've just described, is that an accepted method, a widely accepted method in the field of latent print discipline?
Yes.
Now, I believe that you just talked about what conclusions can be reached. Well, actually, I don't know if you did. What conclusions can be reached after a comparison is made?
Yes, I did. It's
okay.
In identification, exclusion, or inconclusive.
Very good. Now, how many fingerprints have you compared using this method, approximately?
So as I stated, during my training at the Pasadena Police Department, I had to do over 100,000 latent print comparisons, and that was just during training. So I've been in casework for almost 8 years since then. So we don't keep stats on that specifically, but it would probably be over hundreds of thousands.
And when you're presented with a known print and a lifted print or latent print, are you always able to make an individualization?
No.
And what is an erroneous individualization?
An erroneous identification or individualization is when someone determines that two prints, or a latent print and a known impression, were made by the same person when they are in fact not made by the same person.
Now, have you ever made an erroneous individualization?
No.
Now, can you describe what the AFIS system is?
AFIS stands for Automated Fingerprint Identification System, and it's a searchable database where you can put latent prints in and search against all of the known impressions that are in the database that you're searching, and it will return candidates, possible candidates that may match the latent print you're searching.
So if you have a lifted print but you don't have a known impression, it searches through that database trying to find a match?
Correct.
And how many candidates does it typically generate to suggest a comparison to it?
At our lab, it's set to return 30 candidates.
30 candidates?
Yes.
Now, when you see those 30 candidates, is there always a match between the lifted print and the 30 candidates that you see?
No.
Now, is that so? Is there ever a chance, or is there ever a situation where you compare a lifted print to those 30 candidates and there is not a match, but you know that print is in that system?
It has happened where we have done a search and haven't had a match, and then after the fact we will find out that that person was in fact in that system. Yes, it has happened.
Is that, and without delving into statistics, is that terribly uncommon, or is it?
It's not uncommon.
No. And what could lead to that result, if you know?
Based on the way a latent print is left on a surface, I mean, if you touch a surface and you twist your hand, your skin moves, so there's going to be some sort of distortion. And the known inked fingerprints that we're searching against are, very clear, full impressions. So due to the distortion, those individual ridge characteristics that I described earlier, they may be askew. They'll still be in the same orientation relative to each other, but they may be askew a tiny bit, so the searching algorithm might not realize that they came from the same source.
Now, did you have an opportunity to examine items associated with the present case?
Yes.
Now, on June 3rd, 2015, did you perform an AFIS search?
Yes.
Can you describe what happened as a result of that search?
I searched a latent palm print and a latent fingerprint on this case, and no candidates that matched were returned.
And that's the process that you just described, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, on February 18th, 2016, did you perform further examinations?
Yes.
Can you describe what happened as a result of those examinations to the jury?
Yes. I was given a subject name, so I could go and get that person's fingerprint card and palm print card to do a comparison to, so I didn't have to do a blind search like with AFIS. And I compared the latent impressions on the case to the fingerprint card, and I determined that one latent fingerprint from the manila layaway envelope.
From the what?
Manila layaway envelope was the same as the palm print card bearing the name of Kevin Smith.
Now I'm approaching, actually it's already been admitted into evidence. Can you display number 551, please? Now, can you please look at what has been marked as exhibit number 551? Do you recognize what that is?
Yes.
What is that?
That is, it's a printed photograph of the latent print that was developed on the layaway envelope. And then the pertinent information on top, case number, my name, the item it was from, and the name of the photo.
Okay. And that is the lifted print, is that what you called it, that you compared to the known print?
It was a latent print. It was developed chemically, so it wasn't lifted. It was just photographed.
Very good. And that's the one that you compared to the known print, is that
yes.
correct? Now I'm approaching with what has been pre-marked as 485. 485, People's Proposed Exhibit number 485.
Thank you.
Can you please take a look at this? And after you've had a chance to look at it, please look back at me. What is that just placed into your hands?
This is a known right palm print that I took out of our archive system that belongs to Kevin Smith.
And is that the known print that you compared with the image that is shown on the screen right now?
Yes.
And that's fair and accurate depiction of that?
Yes.
I move to admit this is the next exhibit, Your Honor.
Assuming it will be published
Yes.
without objection.
Will be received.
Now, is that the exhibit that was just shown to you a moment ago displayed on the screen?
Yes.
Now, can you explain what those markings are at the bottom of the page that are partially cut off?
Yeah. So you can see our lab case number is the SH15-1493, and then right below it is the top of my initials, DK, and then the date, 2/18/16. And then to the left here, the 2/19/16 CE, those are the person who verified my conclusions. That's her initials and date.
And up above on the top is where it says Kevin Andre Smith. Is where did you get that information from?
That is printed on the card from our archive database.
And so you extracted it from that database?
Yes.
I see. And if I may have one moment, Your Honor. And in the and when you receive information or when you receive an item from a police department asking them to compare that print to known print, do you receive certain information with that?
Yes.
So, for example, will you receive the officer in charge's name, the agency, and the case number that's associated with that police department?
Yes.
And here was it Kurt Latour, Roseville Police Department, in case number 15-10895?
Yes.
May I take a moment to review my notes, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, and so after you analyzed this known print from Kevin Andre Smith Jr. to the Layton print, what conclusions did you arrive at?
That they were made by the same person.
And how many times have you made an erroneous individualization?
0.
I have nothing further at this time.
All right, Mr. McWilliams.
I do, thank you. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
You are Michigan State Police, are you not?
Yes.
Are you Sterling Heights unit over in that city?
Correct.
And how long have you been over there?
Almost 3 years.
Okay. And you are duly qualified with regard to fingerprints, are you not?
Yes.
Is your do you have an expertise in DNA or anything like that?
No.
That's somebody else.
Correct.
Okay. Now, at a point in time, you received, did you not, what we've come to know as a layaway slip?
Yes.
Okay. And that came to you from Roseville, isn't that correct?
Yes.
And do you have a date of when that was received?
If I may refer to my report, yes.
Yes, please. Feel free to.
That was received on May 26th, 2015.
Okay. And that was some number of days or time period from the incident, or do you know when the incident that this print was about was taken? Do you have any idea?
No, I don't.
Okay. How do you receive the item into Michigan State Police?
So the agency, in this case Roseville PD, submits it to our front desk at our laboratory.
They personally deliver it?
Yes.
Doesn't come by mail or delivery service?
No.
Okay. And you're sure that's the case here?
I am not positive, but it's very rare that we receive something through the mail.
Okay, thank you. Go right ahead. Continue, please.
The person at the front desk logs in the evidence into our computer system, and it's then automatically assigned to an examiner. In this case, it was assigned to me. So that they then place it into a locked locker assigned to me. I then go retrieve the evidence from that locked locker.
What's the days and hours or time frame before it gets actually to you and you start working on it?
It varies depending on if I'm working that day or if I get a chance to go up and get my evidence out of the locker that day or not.
Okay. Is it days, weeks?
Just days.
Okay. Only because of your load, your caseload, and or
Scheduling.
scheduling?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you receive this raw item from Roseville with presumably a print on it, is that correct?
Yeah, I received the envelope from Roseville. I processed it for latent prints.
So the first thing you do is look at it.
Yes.
Isn't that correct?
Yes.
You then determine or make a determination as to what the quality of that print is.
Correct.
Okay, and what did you find with regard specifically to what you were first submitted by Roseville?
I was submitted 2 separate things from Roseville. Latent lifts that they lifted from the crime scene and this manila envelope.
Okay.
So...
Okay, we'll talk about them individually.
Okay.
The manila envelope, is that what we are going to call the layaway slip?
Yes.
Okay. And the other lift, is that from a piece of glass?
I would have to refer to the lifts to determine where they were
from.
from.
If you would, please.
It appears as though they were all from a display case or a jewelry display case or a front door.
Okay. You can't tell from what substance they were taken from, can you?
I would assume glass, but no, I don't know.
Okay. Does it make any difference?
No.
Okay. Did they come to you in original form, or were they photographs?
They're originals.
Okay. Did you actually receive the item which they were on, for example, the manila envelope or the piece of glass or the door frame?
No, just the
Okay.
lifts.
Okay. Explain then how a lift, what a lift is and how it's obtained.
So, like I described before, you have latent prints on a surface, and they need to be developed in some way to be seen. Most common, and what happened with these lifts that I received, is black powder. So you take a brush and you lightly dip it in black powder, and you lightly brush the surface that you're processing with this brush. And if there are any latent prints on the surface, they will appear as black on the surface. Then you need to lift them or photograph them so that they can be taken and compared. In this case, they were lifted with clear fingerprint tape. So you just place a piece of tape over the latent print that you're trying to lift, lift it, and then the powder and the print are lifted with the tape, and then it's placed on a solid color backer, in this case a white backer, so that you can see the black ridges on the white backer.
Okay, and is that what you were thumbing through on your lap here this morning?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then once you have those items from these lifts, what do you do with them?
So I analyze the lifts to determine if there's any prints on the lifts, and if there are prints, if they are of comparison value.
Okay. And I take it that you did pass that test?
Yes.
Okay. And now, are you going to try and determine where you can find a comparison?
I'm not sure I understand.
Well, you
the
have
question.
Known set?
Pardon me?
Are you talking about then trying to find known fingerprints?
Yes. Then you're going to be looking for a known person's prints?
So if the prints are of good enough quality, I will search them in our APHIS system as I described before.
Okay. Now, as a matter of fact, that was done, was it not?
Yes.
Okay. And the APHIS system is a computerized system, correct?
Yes.
and it's used regularly by your department, correct?
Yes.
To scan and try and match up a print that you have received, such as the one you've described from the incident in Roseville. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And do I understand you ask it to find a number of prints, a limited number of prints or something like that?
So we photograph or scan in the latent print.
All right.
We then mark it.
Yes.
So all of the places where the ridges end or where they split, we mark those manually, and then
Yes.
it searches those markings against the database and returns candidates
Okay,
that it thinks are match.
Let's just talk about markings, because actually you score fingerprints, do you not?
No,
Did you used to score fingerprints?
not in my career.
Okay. You don't know about points, given points?
Points are a term that we use. We use it interchangeably for that word bridge characteristic.
Okay. And did you put that information in, or do you just put the...
I did mark ridge characteristics, yes,
Okay.
on the latent print.
And you asked for a limited number of hits, is that correct?
Our system returns 30 possible candidates.
Okay. And did you get 30 possible candidates?
Yes.
Okay. And from that, did you make any comparisons and come up with a positive result of a comparison?
I compared all of the candidates that it returned,
Yes?
and I did not come up with an identification
Okay.
based on those.
And so under your signature, as a matter of fact, of a report that is in fact dated May the 26th, 2015, I beg your pardon, June 3rd, 2013, you gave an opinion with regard to...
Talking about 2015?
Yeah.
Yes, Judge. I beg your pardon. 2015, about the findings of the computerized system. Isn't that correct?
Yes,
Okay. And what was that?
that no candidate was generated.
Okay. So in other words, through the objective use of the computer system and your presentation to that system, no candidate was generated. Is that correct?
Correct.
Have I correctly stated that?
Yes.
Okay. Then sometime, and then you made a report on that,
Yes.
okay? And that is on official paper of the Michigan State Police?
Yes.
And you then returned that to the authorities at Roseville Police Department, did you not?
Yes.
Okay. Now, how is it that you came to, and when did you come to do more work in this? Because at this point in time, you've drawn a blank, isn't that correct?
I didn't have any identifications. That is correct.
All right. At some point or other, something else came to your attention with regard to this case, isn't that correct?
I received a second request from the agency working on this case.
And when was that?
May I refer to my notes?
Yes, ma'am.
That was on February 12th, 2016.
Okay. And how and why did that come a year later?
I don't know.
Okay. You don't have any idea?
No.
Okay. But it is true, it came a year later, is that correct?
Almost a year later, yes.
Okay. And did that come with a name on it of any person who might have been a target suspect?
Yes, it came with a suspect name.
Okay. And did you generate that name, or did someone else just provide it to you?
No, it was provided to me.
Okay. So what did you do then?
I then retrieved the known fingerprint and palm print cards of that subject to do a comparison of the prints on file.
Okay. From somewhere else, is that correct?
I don't understand what you mean from somewhere else.
You then had a name, and then you began searching for that person's known fingerprints, is that correct?
Yes, you can
Okay.
search by name or number.
Okay. Is that the same search of persons that could have or might have or would have been in the APHIS system?
I'm not sure if they completely overlap, but or if they're entirely the same, but there is some overlap.
Okay. What system did you then put the name into of the person you just named?
It's the Michigan Archive database.
Okay. And do you have any idea how that was accumulated or how those items are accumulated?
Hold on a second. You
Oh.
want to approach, please?
Did you get Sammy right? Did you get Sammy right? Did you get Esther right? E-S-T-E-R-E.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, please.
Is this information what you used to look into another database? Is that an officially recognized source?
Yes.
Okay. And did you then retrieve a previously documented something that turned up what we'll call a known print?
Yes.
Okay. And then did you do something with that known print?
I compared the known palm prints, the known fingerprints, to the latent palm print and fingerprints that we had on file for this case.
Okay. And did that analysis then turn up a result?
Yes.
And did you make a report with regard to that result?
Yes.
And where is that report?
Where is it?
Yes, where is the report? Do you have it with you?
Yes.
Okay. And did you turn that over then to Roseville?
I'm not sure who it's released to. It's released through our computer system. On this report, it says that the agency is the FBI of Detroit, so I'm not sure if it was released to Roseville or to
I see.
them.
And when you... let me ask you this. Did you do a side-by-side print of that?
A side-by-side comparison?
Yes.
Yes.
And do you do that with the assistance of any instrument?
Yes.
What is that instrument and how did you do it?
We use a magnifying glass and proper lighting and then pointers, which we call ridge counters, just so that we can keep track of where we are on both prints.
Okay. And is it like looking into a two-eyed microscope?
No, it's just one magnifying glass.
Okay. And you're going this way, moving your head right to left and left to right to look?
I put both prints under one magnifying glass and just look at it with one eye. So I'm not really moving my head, just moving my eye a little bit.
And when describing how you come to and give conclusions, what conclusions did you give using the technical terms that you've described on direct examination?
So I found that the latent palm print from the manila envelope, the unknown latent palm print from the manila envelope, was found to be from the same source as the latent palm card of the name Kevin Andre Smith Jr. I found that the remaining latent prints on the case were inconclusive to Kevin Andre Smith Jr.
Okay. You have not used the word excluded, have you?
No, I have not.
Okay. And why is that?
I was unable to exclude any of the prints to that card.
Okay. Oh. Okay. My last question to you, ma'am, is without someone giving you the name of Kevin Smith, would you have come up with the name Kevin Smith and been able to make a comparison of the fingerprints?
I had not up until that time, although the latent prints that I put into our APHIS system remain in there, are continually searched, so I may have gotten a hit later.
But you don't know.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Very
Okay.
briefly,
I'm sorry?
Just very briefly, Your Honor. You talked about items that you received or did not receive from the location where the fingerprints were lifted from. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, did you receive any items from that location?
I received the layaway envelope.
Very good. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. McMahon?
No, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Any questions by the... Thanks, Ms. Smith. You have the excuse. Next witness.
And if we call the next witness, may I read a stipulation for that?
Sure, go ahead, please.
Thank you. It is marked as exhibit number 552, and I'll just read it out. It says, the parties agree that the attached images are finger and palm prints belonging to the defendant, Kevin Smith. And no need to display them at this point, but the jury will have them put there in the jury room for deliberations.
That's 552?
That's 552, yes. And so the parties agree that the attached images are finger and palm prints belonging to the defendant, Kevin Smith. With that, we call the next witness. May I get him from the witness room?
What? Yeah, then. Register. Hi. Your name, please?
Simon,
Stop.
S-A-A-D, M-A, and E-W-D.
E-W-E-E.
Coach's first name, Simon, S-A-A-D.
Thank you.
Sir, would you raise your right hand for me, if you would, please? You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please have a seat, if you would. Once you're comfortable, adjust the microphone in front of you, all right?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Pull the microphone a little closer to you.
Okay.
There we go.
Thank you.
That's
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Gale, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Saad Mandoui. I live in Kalamazoo, Michigan. My family live here.
When you say your family lives here, do they live in the, where do they live?
They live in Warren County.
And Mr. Mandoui, I'm going to bring you back to May 20th, 2015, if I may.
Correct.
Do you remember that day?
Absolutely, yeah.
Where were you that morning?
As I said, like I usually come in Tuesday to visit my mom, and Wednesday I usually go visit my brother. So I usually make a trip to visit him. He have a jewelry shop in Gratiot Avenue. So I went to see him that morning and visit him in his shop.
In that shop, is that in Roseville? Is that
Roseville, correct.
That's
Yeah.
outside of Detroit?
Correct.
And can you describe what happened after you arrived at the shop? What were you and your brother doing at that location?
Well, it was early morning, and I usually visit him, and we chat about different subjects, and so I came in, I talked to him a little bit, and then there, in front of the door, there's a chair, and I usually sit over there and let him do his work because he get all the gold and trays to put it in the showcase. So I was sitting there, then two gentlemen knocked the door, and my brother let them in. I thought like he know them and
before you get there, just so the jury can be clear, your brother works at that shop, is that
correct.
You were just visiting that?
I visit him. Yeah, I was visiting. Yeah.
And was anyone else working there?
No,
before that?
that's all two of us.
Okay. Now, when you talked about two individuals arriving at the
Correct.
Now, what happened after they entered into the store?
Just it seemed like regular customer of him, I thought, and I was sitting over there, and I just like cleared the path for them to come in and talk to him and to buy something, I assume. And I was sitting at that chair closer to the door, and 2 seconds later, and I heard some knock, and one person jumped to the other counter with the gun, and after that, like, it was just like I'm trying to see what happened. Just like it was, like, as I said, like, it was so quick, and then another gentleman just came in to me.
I'm sorry, what did he do to you?
He came in to me because, as I said, like, that chair was next to the door, and the other person was carrying the gun and holding it against my brother, and the other gentleman came in to me and with the gun, and I know if it was a gun, it was like he was behind, he was holding, like, don't move, and so the other person was taking stuff from the cases.
And I want to slow down just a little bit so
Sure.
I understand what happened. So there was 2 people there who came into the store, is that right?
Correct.
Now, could you describe those people to the jury? Were they, like, first, what race were they?
African American.
And how were they dressed?
Dressed up really, really nice. Jacket and white. I mean, they seem like a very professional and young. I think between 22 to 25, 26 years old.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Sorry.
Now, this happened about a year ago, is that right?
Correct.
Now, do you see anyone in this courtroom that you can positively identify after a year that was there in that store? Do you see anyone here in this courtroom today?
I think he looked familiar.
I'm sorry. If you do see someone, can you point them out and describe what they're
The
wearing?
gentleman here.
What is he wearing?
The blue.
The blue shirt.
With a tie.
Can the record reflect that he's identified the defendant, Your Honor?
You will?
Now, when you saw, when they first came in, how were they acting when they first came into the store?
Just normal. I honestly just they asked my brother about a ring, some. As I said, like, I heard them talking about some gold and some stuff, and that's about it. It's just like I cleared the path for them, and I was just went down there, sit in my chair, and like 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes later, my brother was talking to them back and forth until I heard the gun.
So they were acting like normal customers?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you heard something that sounded like, what did you say, gun?
Well, because he held the gun and he was just screaming, just like, open the safe and give me all the gold, and I heard a jump. He jumped from where it was like for the showcase. He went beyond my brother and trying to get the cases from him.
Now, the person who you said who was screaming about the safe and the gold, was that the person you just identified, or was that the other person who was there?
I think that gentleman probably, yeah.
The person who you
Yeah,
identified?
absolutely.
And when you say he left over a display case?
Correct.
Now, after they left over the display case, what did you do?
As I said, I was sitting there, and the other gentleman came in to me, and he grabbed me and said, "Do not move," and took
was
me.
that gentleman holding a gun?
I did not see the gun, but he was just like putting his hand behind, like as a like something behind. But when I saw the gun and assumed that he has a gun, I wasn't 100% sure.
So you saw the gun in the defendant's
Correct.
hand, not
Correct.
the other person. And so what happened after that? Once that person grabbed you? What
He took me and grabbed me and put me next to the safe and have the chair put on top of my head, and so I cannot move.
So how did you put the chair on top of your
Like there was a chair, a stool, and I was laid down, and he just grabbed the chair or the stool and just put it in top, and it's like, you cannot move. You cannot move. And at that time, I felt like he has a gun, or he has a gun. I'm not sure, because I didn't see the gun from that gentleman, so I assumed that he had a gun. So I could not move anything. And he was taken from the safe, and he has grabbed a bag, and he emptied the garbage bag, and he started taking some gold from the safe.
When you say he, do you mean the defendant or the other person?
I think both. Both.
Now, what happened once that was happening? The chair was on top of you. They're taking items. What happened?
I screamed. I said, like, you can take all the money, just don't shoot. I just like, yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
If you can, just.
No, fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happened next?
Yeah. So they tried to take the gold and everything, and my brother was hurt really bad.
You saw that?
Yeah, I saw that.
What happened?
And I think, as I said, like, I was laying down, and he hit him really hard with a gun, and he had stitches, and I saw the blood, and my brother ran to grab the alarm. So, and I think he did the alarm, and so after that it was like between my brother and the gentleman, just like it was like back and forth until they run.
Back and forth. They were talking back and forth?
Yeah, because my brother was.
Sorry, they were saying things back and forth?
Yeah, it's like, as far as like he's trying to get as much as possible from him, and my brother have a little resistance to him a little bit, and he showed, and I was just like, I told my brother, just let him go. Yeah, and after that they run, and I heard after that was a gunshot, but it wasn't a gunshot. It was, they broke the door, not the door. I'm sorry, the showcase. So I heard, like, because I was laying down, so I did not see anything. I was just hearing. So the last things they did, I think they broke the showcase in order to take as much as gold from that case, and they run.
And they ran out of the
Correct.
store. What happened after they ran out of the store?
We, as I said, like, my brother he's aware of the store, and he did the alarm, and then we ran after them to see where the path is, and the police showed up like in probably 7 minutes, 10 minutes after the fact.
And did you tell them what happened? Did you tell the police what happened?
Absolutely, yeah, yep.
And did your brother go to the hospital?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to give you some items here.
The numbers?
Yeah. First one is 214. And the next one, 39239.
No. Your Honor, Mr. Cahill showed me a number of items which I'm generally going to acknowledge, and will have no objection, and that will also include a video disc.
Great, thank you.
And I'm sure he's going to display them, which I won't have any objection to.
Right.
Excellent.
Let's have them identified by number.
Excellent. The first one is 214. I believe that's already been admitted. May we see that displayed? Is that a picture of the jewelry store?
That's right.
Now, the next images are 392. Do you recognize that?
Absolutely, yep.
What is that?
Well, this is the showcases, and that's the safe would be back here. And as I said, I was sitting.
Identify what you mean by back here.
I'm sorry, yes. And when you say back here, are you referring the safe is to the left of
to
where the
left,
picture
correct.
is on that
Yeah.
image? Thank you.
Left, yep.
And is that the showcase that he leapt over that you were just describing a moment ago?
Absolutely, yep.
And that's the image of the person who leapt over it that day, is that correct?
Correct.
Can we have the next image, 393, please? And what is that right there?
this is the main showcase, and this is my brother, Rafat, and again, the safe will be back here, and the doors back right of our screen.
And just so the record can be clear, when you say to the right of the screen, you're talking about the doors are to the right of the picture, but kind of off the screen. Is that right?
Yes.
And is that? Do you see what the defendant is doing right there?
Holding the gun, and my brother's face.
Your Honor, I think we've stated a fact which has not been testified to in evidence, and Mr. Cahill may have misstated that. I don't believe that the person who he has either pointed to or referred to as the defendant has been in fact testified as the defendant.
I agree. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. At some point, while you were there that day, did someone hold a gun to your brother and point it in his face?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, that day when you were there in that jewelry store, did someone point a gun at your brother?
Yes.
Who was that person? Was it the person who you identified earlier on today?
Yeah.
And is that the person who's in that image right there?
Yes, correct.
Now, can we see the next image, number 394? Is that also an image from the jewelry store that day after what happened took place?
That's right.
Now, there's been no objection to the video coming in. Are you aware of a video surveillance cameras in that store?
Yes.
And those images that you just saw a moment ago, is it fair to say that those images come from the video, the surveillance videos inside of that store? Is that correct?
Correct.
I'd like to play two images, or two smaller clips from that video, if I may.
What's the video number? What's the exhibit number, please?
It is the two clips yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, the video itself is exhibit number 215, Your Honor.
There's no objection to the video?
Correct.
All right, 15 will be received.
Let me check the first one. Just those two clips. Doesn't matter. Thank you. And is that your brother on the left?
Correct.
Do you know what your brother is doing in that?
Well, as I said, like early in the morning, because he trying to open the shop, so he trying to gather all the trays to put them in the showcases.
Very good.
So it's like it was early in the morning, because we opened at he opened at 10 o'clock in the morning. So it like they came in like, as I said, like just before 10 o'clock.
Excellent. Thank you.
See, he's watching me.
Okay, wait till there's a question
Sorry.
presented to you, sir.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes.
And may we see the next clip, please? And that's a fair depiction of what happened that day, is that correct?
Yes.
Is that you in the right hand?
Mm-hmm. That's no, my brother.
May I take a moment to review my notes?
Yes.
Now, at what point along the line was that emergency button pushed that you referred to? Was that after the images that we just saw?
Yeah. After the fact.
Do you know the approximate value of the items taken that day?
No.
And
probably my brother would know better than me.
did you encounter anyone outside after after the two individuals ran outside? You said that you went outside. Is that correct?
My brother went first, and then after that, I was left after him because my brother went to see his neighbor, the car dealership, and then after that, I ran after him.
Did you see anyone outside who's not your brother?
Outside, no.
No. I have nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, 10 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, please step into the jury.
All rise.
Just stay right there. Stay here. That's fine.
Thank you.
You may be seated.